And so, welcome to Late Night with Billyjitsu, where we speak the truth, share some knowledge, and talk some shit. So, anyways, just to get the night started tonight, for those that are listening to Twitter Spaces, we do have a YouTube channel, One Hive TV. I believe that is correct through YouTube, One Hive TV. You can visualize the things I am talking about. Um, but first and foremost, hacks. Literally, one is happening right now on Solana. If you have a Phantom wallet or a Slope wallet, I am not sure exactly what is happening. Check in One HTV. Sorry, One HTV for YouTube if you're streaming live right now. Excuse me. But if you have a Phantom wallet or Slope wallet on Solana, move your assets. If you do not have a hardware ledger, move it to a central exchange, Coinbase, Binance, whatever floats your boat. Because right now there is a major exploit happening right now. I am not sure what's going on. A lot of security experts, don't know really what's happening. But what they do know is that people's wallets are getting drained, and it's not chump change. Like it's just like they're not interacting with any contracts or anything. So move your assets off it. If you have a ledger, you're in good shape. If you're on a central exchange, I can't believe I'm saying this, but you're in good shape. But it's definitely something that's happening like right now. Literally, as we're speaking, it's happened like 30 minutes ago. People's wallets are getting drained. So again, just throwing it out there. I'll probably say it again in a little bit as people join or listening on YouTube. But definitely, take care of yourself. And it's a crazy world out there, and it's there's not much we can do. Anyways, more hacks. More and more hacks. We're going to talk about the Nomad Bridge hack, the Audius hack, and get a little bit yesterday. And it's quite a shame. It's really unfortunate because the Nomad hack is actually one of the better bridges out there. Just to break it down for a lot of people that don't know how bridges work. Think of it like a casino, right? You bring in your cash and you trade it in for chips, right? You trade it in on the front desk. So you bring in your cold hard cash, you trade it in for chips that are equivalent in value. And then the casino says, okay, go ahead and play the games. And when you're done, you come in and cash back out, right? So Nomad Bridge is basically one of the best. They have like you deposit it, you play whatever you want, and then you come back. And they have this relay system that has basically a 30-minute check to say, okay, is this legit? Is this bad? And okay, checks and balances, and then everything goes clear and everything gets removed. Great. But as we were talking about 2 weeks ago about the dangers of upgradable contracts and the mutability of upgradable contracts and the initializations actually was caused by an upgrade, unfortunately. So basically what happens, not to get too far deep into it, is there's like some checks and balances that get bypassed because when they initialized it, they allowed something with like a whole bunch of zeros on a Merkle tree leaf. That's just like a kind of like a security hash to make sure everything's kind of verified in simple terms, in the most basic terms I can say. Basically, if you filled it all with zeros, you were good. It didn't have to go through the checks and balances through the relayer. It just said, okay, you're cool. So the first hacker actually successfully did it, right? And then when the news got out, it basically became a free for all because all you literally had to do was go to Etherscan, copy the exact same call data from Etherscan, change the address that it received to your address, and you could literally rinse and repeat the whole time. Literally, Control C, Control V, and just run the transactions. So this caused like a crazy amount of people to just bum rush the bridge and literally drain the vault. Now there was good players and bad players, right? The white hats were trying to drain it so then they can return it later. And then obviously the bad actors were just literally draining them, for their own personal gain. It doesn't quite make sense to me because everybody's monitoring these wallets, right? So a lot of these wallets are kind of well known. So if they're being tracked, like I would suggest returning the money. And a lot of people have already come forward and saying, they did it just to return the money, and good for them. But this is really people's money. These are people's money that people left in the casino with their chips, and they're hoping to cash out. And right now they cannot. And it's really quite unfortunate that that's what happened. And hopefully more people come out and return it and realize, the damage they've done because the bridge is probably one of the better bridges out there. But it's just like human error or you know, I guess going through the motions, of the upgradable contracts, it just, there was just a bad error in the initialization when they did it, and they kind of just zeroed out the checks and balances. And it's quite unfortunate that it was when put in like, if someone asked me like, would I do it? I was like, man, I think I would white hat it personally, but when you're looking at a couple $1 million that you just got for free in your wallet, it's kind of like, if it was a shady VC's money, maybe, but this is people's money. So, obviously, if I had the opportunity, but look, when people found out about this, it wasn't like some random person can go to MetaMask and just, kind of do it. As soon as the bots got around, everybody was front running. I mean, there was people like losing so much ETH just trying to, steal some money. So people were getting burned on it as well as stealing it. So, it's an unfortunate situation. We're gonna see what happens. I mean, Nomad just and the timing was really bad because they just got a raise with a lot of investors. I think a couple like almost 20 mil or something like that in investment on the bridge. So I mean, the timing couldn't have been worse to drain it. So hopefully more people return it. And it's just one of these shitty situations, man. Like I can't. My heart goes out to everybody affected on that one because being part of a hack just sucks. It's a bad feeling. Nobody, nobody, nobody deserves it. And it's just one of these unfortunate things of upgrade oil contract damages. And speaking of that, earlier last week, the Audius music streaming platform was hacked too. They were hacked with the governance, and hello, hello, surprise, surprise, it was hacked via an upgradable contract. So what this hacker did was similar to that other dollar hack. Is they hacked the governance and they approved themselves to basically drain the Audius hack governance vault for a couple mil, and then just pretty much dump the token. So it wasn't as bad, but it was just one of these implementations for this one. When you do a storage, well, let me take it back. When you do an upgradable contract, right? It's upgradable contracts will let you use your existing contract and let you move parts around in a sense. For simple terms, there's like a main contract where all the data sits, and then there's another contract that you constantly upgrade and upgrade and upgrade. So you can change the way things act, you can change the way functions represent themselves. And so when these guys at Audius upgrade their situation, so they kind of got the storage slots mixed up, and it left and Audius went down and patched the situation. But then it comes back to the upgradable contracts. It's such a sensitive system, and we talked about this 2 weeks ago about the mutability of it and the dangers of upgradable contracts, and this seems to be the common factor of a lot of these hacks because it comes to a cost of convenience, right? I make a contract, everybody stakes their tokens or whatever, right? And then I have to have a new contract, and it's just bad user experience. Okay, you have to unstake, you have to pay the gas, and then you have to stake over in this new contract. You get a lot of people that don't stake, forget about it, and then you have to support the V1 with the V2, and there's a lot of drama behind that, but it's immutable in a sense, and you can keep those two pools live if you chose to do so. With upgradable, you don't have to inconvenience the user, and everybody can stay put. But then that gives you a lot of vulnerabilities too, but a lot of power to make the life of all your users a little bit easier. So there's a double-edged sword of which way you would want to go. Again, saving costs on deploying a contract is huge, especially like during this crazy 2021 era where like it was ridiculous. Like to deploy a contract was at least a couple grand. So ability to shut it down, you technically can, and that has its dangers and whatnot. Whether you have the keys or not, that's a totally different story. But if it is possible, that means that someone could interfere with that. Same thing that happened with the Soul Lend guys. With changing the function to take over the user's funds, et cetera, et cetera. It's just a dangerous game that we're playing with, and once we cross that line, it's hard to come back from that, unfortunately. But once again, for anybody that's joining in or listening a little bit later, there is currently a Solana bug happening. So if you have a browser Phantom wallet or a browser Slope wallet, I would definitely move your funds. If you have a ledger, you're in good shape. But move them to a central exchange, move them to another secured wallet. There is definitely something going on. Private keys are somehow being leaked somehow, but wallets are being drained. and it's not like you can revoke a contract like Ethereum because it doesn't work that way. It's signed at the wallet level. So just in case for anybody listening that's joining us late, Phantom, this is literally happening right now. Nobody knows exactly what is happening. Everybody's kind of like freaking out and figuring out what is happening. But wallets are being drained as we speak. So if you are on the Phantom network and you do Phantom Wallet, I'm sorry, Solana network, and you are using Phantom Wallet and Slope Wallet, go ahead and make sure you move your assets over. Just be safe, guys. Just be safe. So yeah, one topic I did want to cover, as we're talking about Solana and all the issues, is is one thing I was thinking like, am I an Eth Maxi? I've talked to like a lot of devs, and I talked to a lot of people out when I'm out and about you know what chain is the best. I think of it back in the old school like '90s wars, Nintendo versus Sega. That kind of stuff. Um, and I'm like, everything for me leads to Ethereum, right? And it's a tough one because I even put out a post a couple of weeks ago. I was like, I'm looking to explore outside of the ETH ecosystem what is unique on another chain that I can't find in Ethereum. And it was pretty much crickets, unfortunately, because in the world of open source, literally anything can be forked and anything can be done. So it's like, other than cheap transaction fees, what is in it? What is in it for me in a sense? So I kind of went searching around of what's available, and I really couldn't find much. Honestly, like everybody has DeFi, everybody has NFTs, everybody has staking. And then if I really wanted cheap transactions, we have Polygon, we have Gnosis Chain, cool stuff on the layer two world of Arbitrum and Optimism. And I was like, man, this was an Optimism. I found Velodrome. And for those don't know what Velodrome is, think of it. Well, it's a fork of Andre Conje's Solidity or Solidity, whatever it was, like his failed project. But basically, it was taking the good aspects of Curve, Uniswap, Convex Finance, and kind of merging it together to put it into like this one possible like one DeFi awesome device. The emission rewards for that one was a total failure. That's when Andre quit, and he disappeared. He said, "I'm done with DeFi." Blah blah blah. Well, these guys forked it, and they went over to Optimism, and so they made a few changes and they made a few adjustments, right? So the way this one works, well, let's take a step back. So Curve, when you supply liquidity, you kind of sports. So platform gets a certain amount of rewards, and some of the fees go back to the pool providers, right? And then some of the stakers get some of those fees too. So it's like a split between everything, right? With Velodrome, the stakers get the full swap fees, and the liquidity providers get the rewards that are dropped, the emissions out, and then the stakers also do get emissions too. So it's kind of a different approach to it, and it's not a set and forget. Like I could set in and get my rewards if I let's just leave it in there and come back 2 years later. I have accumulated rewards. This one requires active users. You have to vote every week on the pool rewards in order to claim the pool rewards. So you can't just set and forget. You have to be active. So Velodrome actually, the timing couldn't have been perfect for me. Velodrome had a cool partnership with, or like a sponsorship with Optimism. If you had staked 10K of their Velodrome tokens for 4 years, kind of like the VE model, if you stake it in there, they then Optimism would airdrop you about 30 to 50% value of your staking value. So I was like, oh man, that's pretty awesome. It was like kind of like a 50% like loss mitigation if like the whole thing was a total failure. At least I would get Optimism tokens, and I stayed true to it, which was pretty awesome. So I did my staking, and I such a positive thing, and they're getting so much TVL that they are now extending it now. So I don't know the exact cutoff for this next one. It's not as much as the original one, but if you do stake, I think it's still 10K tokens, and you lock it in for 4 years. There is another Optimism airdrop coming on here, so definitely check into it. Obviously, not financial advice or anything like that. It could be a total loss if anything, but the token did take off a little bit. It did shoot up quite a bit, so it's a larger investment. But it's a new platform with a new idea that it feels kind of fresh. Optimism supporting it is bringing a lot of actual volume to optimism, other than copy paste of every like chain or side chain, right? Every chain seems to have an Aave. Every chain seems to have a curve. There's nothing unique about any of these other chains. And now we have Velodrome that is changing it up a little bit. So it was kind of refreshing, and I was glad to see it. And then they have their NFT marketplace with Quixotic. So they're giving themselves a little bit of a different flavor, right? So, if you want to go on Ethereum, it's cool. It's still fairly cheap on Ethereum, but then you can always go over to the layer twos and get a little different flavor. And I thought that was really, really cool. I'm a fan of it. So, you know, um, it's a nice change of pace if you want to mess with it. Totally up to you. I am staking on it. I am providing liquidity on it, and so far so good. Who knows? It could be a total crash. Again, they didn't audit Velodrome. They forked solidly code, which was audited, but I don't know what was changed. I don't know. I just don't know. But it was a small risk compared to my portfolio, and I wanted to play with something because it was a little boring for me, and I wanted to find something new. So I'm trying something new, and I'm letting you guys know about it too. So definitely check it out. And then on the other side, there we have Arbitrum, and in Arbitrum they have GMX, which has probably been hidden a lot. GMX has been hitting a lot of news because of their value and what they've been doing. And think of it like a casino in a sense. Like GMX is it's sort of like a casino because you can do it's basically a perpetual exchange, and so you're the house, right? So when you go to like a casino or something and you play blackjack, majority of the time the house always wins. You can long items, you can short items, you can 10 times it. Lot more losers than there are winners in a sense, right? So GMX, you're providing liquidity and you're betting with the house, right? So you're betting against the general users that are betting. And so far, there's been more losers than winners. So all the GMX stakers, all the liquidity providers have been winning. So and then they pay you an ETH when you stake it. So it's like, man, what a dream farm. So GMX is just one of those things on Arbitrum that's like caught my attention that I'm playing with. The price has been fluctuating. I'm not too invested into it yet, but I definitely am playing with it, and definitely messing around with it. It's on my radar. But you got to think of it when the house, like when there's a big player, GMX too. Well, G as in giraffe, M as in Mary, X as in Xavier. Um, but you know, with you have the big player that comes and wins big. I mean, they drain the vault, and that's your liquidity. So you run that risk of when there's a bear market and a serious bear market, and everybody's shorting long. It's going to drain your liquidity. A bit. So there's risk in everything, but in the crab market, when everybody's longing and shorting, I think it's a really really cool environment to play with. And if anything, you're just staking the GMX, whether the value, your return is an ETH. So it's definitely worth a look. And then also those that are getting ready for the what is it, the Odyssey for Arbitrum, that will be coming back pretty soon too, because they just launched their testnet with Nitro, and that's looking good. So we're looking to get more of more users on the space in Arbitrum to do these quests. One of the quests is actually GMX, is how I kind of like started to hear about it. And so like providing liquidity on Uniswap is got major returns. So it's just another strategy opportunity. It's like on the layer twos, there's a lot more volume picking up pace, and there's a more unique stuff on the layer two that's worth going or worth bridging and worth taking that bridge risk to go on to layer two. So I thought that was pretty cool. Like that's what I'm looking for. Like if Near had something like this, if Solana had something like this that was unique to the chain, that would be something that I go to. But like again, it always ends up back up on Ethereum. So, you know, I guess I'm an Eth Maxi. I'm not quite sure, but these are new platforms. I'm not saying they're brand spanking new, but new to me in a sense where I was kind of in my own little bubble, and I really wanted to like say, okay, I'm not a Gnosis chain Maxi. I'm not a Polygon Maxi. You know, it's kind of like everybody's mirroring each other and everybody's talking in an echo chamber. So I was like, let's break out. Let's see what's different. And for those that don't know, Optimism is going to have a second airdrop. Arbitrum is rumored to have an airdrop. Maybe the Odyssey is the beginning, but you know, for my own personal being, I was like, I'm not just going to go on a chain just to barely hit the minimum to get an airdrop. I want to use it, So I needed reasons to use it. I was like, well, I could go to Curve, but then I have Curve over here, so then I have to split my liquidity, and I needed a reason. So now we're finally getting a little bit of flavors on each of these layer twos, and I think that's awesome. So definitely check them out. Again, not financial advice or anything like that, but it's definitely worth a look and take a peek of like all the cool stuff that's being built out there that's gaining a little bit traction. The market, who knows if we're going up or down after this hack, who knows if we're getting dumped on. So um but I think it's cool overall. And as the merge is coming, everybody's getting hyped for the merge, brings up a lot of curiosities with what's happening with the merge. NFTs always come to mind. uh just recently, Tiffany and company, they go NFTs, right? They're officially one of these big brands that are going NFTs. Excuse me. And so they did a promotional teaser, and their NFTs they're only going to be about 250 of those NFTs, and they're going to cost about 30 ETH. So just so you know, in order to have a staking node, you only need 32 ETH, right? So you, we're I mean, personally speaking, for me, I'm not the market for that, but it's kind of a weird thing because there's only 250 of those NFTs to have this exclusive Tiffany thing, but they're only for punks. So it's kind of a weird thing. Like they showed this punk jewelry, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, like, all right, let's say I did have a punk, and let's say I did have this disposable income, right? So I'm gonna go buy this for my girl. Okay, I got you something from Tiffany and Company, babe. Okay, and she opens the box and she sees a fucking punk. Like what the fuck? Like I don't understand it. Okay, I don't quite get the connection. Maybe it's a flex, maybe it's something, but like I don't get it. I know in the dirty south, grills are pretty popular. People get gold in their teeth and diamonds in their teeth. I'm not gonna do it. It's just not my thing. So I don't know where Tiffany and Company's going with this. It's a good marketing thing because everybody's talking about it, but it's it's unique, I guess. And it's, again, I'm not the demographic. I just don't know. You know, I wouldn't spend it because I'd rather have a validator. I'd rather have a node and generate money on ETH. But people have that disposable income. Speaking of 30, like let's say it's about 50K roughly ish. So 50K for jewelry is not unheard of. But for a punk, I guess you like them a lot. I mean, there's hardcore people for everything. But my girl would be mad. Okay, I'll tell you this right now. If I brought home a $50,000 punk on a necklace, I wouldn't be sleeping in the house that day. Okay, I'll tell you that right now. But good luck to them. I think they're dropping later this week. I'm not sure exactly. Again, I'm not the demographics. I'm not really keeping an eye out, but I'm pretty sure we're going to hear a lot of noise. But it's a win-win scenario for Tiffany and Company, right? Because they can drop all 250, and literally they could all buy them back from themselves without most people knowing in reality, because they have the budget for that, right? It's like, oh man, we sold out in 10 minutes. It could be wallets that they set up themselves, because then it gives them, oh, people want our product. And then when people, start doing something, everybody else wants to do it, and they wish they were able to do it too. And, it's more of the have and the have nots, and blah, blah, blah. So I think it'll sell out no matter what. How legit the buyers are, we will never know until I start seeing people like sporting a punk necklace somewhere. But it's not my flavor, I'll tell you that. But it's definitely getting attention from larger companies. Companies, find their way to extract from their clients. So good luck on them. It's an open market, but to me, it's not the ethos of Web3. But whichever. But that brings another question, and I put this out on Twitter the other day too, for the merge, right? Uh, so we're going to merge into this proof of stake system, right? And so we're definitely going to fork off, and we're going to do that. There's been a lot of talk of miners, obviously upset about that because they have these big mining setups. What are they going to do? Blah blah blah. So there's been a lot of talk about having a proof of work fork, which brings a very very unique situation to this space. So like let's say this Tiffany and Company NFT, these bored apes. What are other popular NFTs? I don't know, like the cat ones or something, right? They exist in the chain right now. So when we split and we go to POS, it's going to exist. If we fork on proof of work with some miners, it's going to exist there too, because they're going to take the point of when we merge and we're going to